We have departed from the port of Mokpo and are traveling by ferry to the island of Palkum, where the Medical Mission Center is stationed. The center is operated by the Presbyterian Church of Korea, PCK. There are 480 habitable islands that lie in the southwestern part of South Korea, many of which are barely inhabited. The Salvation Ship visits between 125 and 175 islands yearly. Some of the larger islands are populated with up to about 4,000 people and will be visited once a year. Smaller islands may be visited only once every 3 or 4 years. Depending on the number of patients to be seen, the Salvation may make a 3-day stop at an island or visit 2 or 3 islands in one day. Mokpo is the largest and most important city in the area, with a population of about 170,000 residents. It is located on the southwestern part of the Muon Peninsula. Mokpo is, in addition, one of the most significant ports in the Yellow Sea. Its citizens call it the City of Art because many Korean artists originate in Mokpo. Also, Kim Dae-jung, the former president of South Korea and Nobel Prize winner in 2000, is from Mokpo. There are about 1,700 people on the island of Palkum, where the Medical Mission Center is located. The income of these islanders comes from ocean life as well as from land crops such as rice, garlic, onions, and certain grains. The Medical Mission Center in Palkum was inaugurated on August 29, 1991, and began its work then. The center is normally operated with 5 or 6 employees who are either volunteers or else receive a modest salary. The staff members are from left to right. Im Hyung-suk, MD, who is working here at the center in place of his military obligation, Won Mi-jung and Jung Kyung, nurses, Deacon Koo Chun-hoi, acupuncturist for alternative Asian medicine, and Elder Jeong-in Chol, coordinator and therapist for finger and magnetic therapy. At the moment, there is no minister at the center. Therefore, Thomas G. Norton, author of this slideshow, is working as the pastor. Although he speaks almost no Korean, it is not always necessary for him to be fluent in this language. For a worship service or other speaking engagement, it is, of course, imperative for a translator to be present. Reverend Ko Young-un is now employed as the new pastor on the Salvation Ship after Norton's 2.5-month interim pastorate. Here, Reverend Ko is leading a morning meditation. It is very pretty here on Palkum Island with spring flowers surrounding us. However, on these islands off the coast of Korea, it is often stormy and not always very warm. A shrimp pond was excavated and constructed in May 2000 adjacent to the center. The shrimp harvested here will be exported. Now at the end of July, the small shrimp are swimming in the saltwater ponds. In this area, shrimp provide an important income. Everywhere rice is planted and once a year harvested. Rice provides a primary income for these islanders and is enjoyed at every meal. It is almost impossible to go one day without rice, according to the Koreans. In April, rice seed is placed into the ground. It is covered with vinyl for 10 days or 2 weeks in order to collect the heat for fast and protected growing. Then the tender plants are uncovered and replanted in large fields. After the harvest in October, the rice not only will be consumed by Koreans, but will also be exported to other countries. Because the women in the rice fields must work in a bent-over position up to 14 hours a day, harm to their backs may occur. As a result, many women must be treated by the PCK mission workers. A certain type of snail is cultivated and released into the rice fields in order to consume destructive pests. Pesticides are often used, but most of the time with less efficiency. Also, in some cases, the plants have developed an immunity to these pesticides. In addition, pesticides can be harmful to the environment. In order for salt to be obtained from the ocean, ponds are filled with seawater to a depth of several inches. After some time and several procedures, the salt water evaporates. At the end of this process, salt remains. Rain is always desired for the rice fields. Of course, rain slows down the salt production. So, rain has both positive and negative effects. The finished salt product is loaded from this truck into a boat at Palkum Island. Salt is an important product for all Koreans and is also exported to a number of other countries. Garlic too provides a central income. It is a very healthy spice and also enhances the flavor of many foods. Koreans often eat more healthily than Westerners. They consume few sweets or heavy sauces and only small amounts of meat. Much fish and other healthy seafoods are enjoyed. However, we must remember that Koreans eat many spicy and salty foods, which can cause stomach and other illnesses. The lifespan of these people is some 5 years less than that of most Westerners. There are few irrigation systems in Korea, like the one pictured here. When it doesn't rain often enough, rice production is reduced, as is the growth of other crops. Water is carried through pipes to the fields. One might consider some of these irrigation ponds as inferior, but most of the time they seem to be efficient. Sometimes sprinkler systems are used. In many parts of Korea, onions are planted. They are served in numerous ways and very much enjoyed. In addition to onions, algae are also very much liked by all Koreans. They are very nourishing and important for everyone's diet. The cultivation of algae is a woman's work. Women take the seed plants, fasten them in the rope strands, and then place them into the sea where they grow for several months. Fishing boats and other boats must be extremely careful when maneuvering in these areas in order not to destroy the algae nets. Because the tides move the nets to some degree, it is even more difficult for the boats to navigate. After this growth period, the algae are harvested and dried, and certain types of algae are prepared for export. Algae are made ready for the table in many ways. Dried algae are enjoyed very much at meals. Certain algae are used in making rice specialties. Also, they make very good soups. The manifold fishery is important for Koreans as a source of food as well as for export to other countries. The fishing industry is also an exceedingly valuable source of income. Fish are also a significant means of nourishment and vitamins. Without fish on the table, a main part of the meal would be absent. One finds a large variety of fish in Korea. In this booth at one of the markets in Seoul, we can count 14 types of fish. The Salvation ship, built in 1995, weighs 40 tons, is 4.7 meters wide, and 25 meters long. It travels from island to island in the South Sea and the Yellow Sea from March through November every year. About 300,000 inhabitants live on the 480 populated islands. They live in about 93,550 households. There are 4 sailors working on this ship. From left to right, Kim Jong-op, captain, Lim Chun-ok, engineer, Bak Jong-il, helmsman and cook, and Kim Nam-tae, cook and helper. The day begins as follows. At 6 a.m., the generators are turned on and the ship's crew gets out of bed. Shortly thereafter, the other personnel rise, and at 7 a.m., breakfast is served to everyone. The morning meditation begins at 8 a.m. We wait to begin the meditation until the ship's crew joins us after finishing its morning duties. At the beginning and at the end of every meditation, songs are sung. All participants read, one after the other, part of a chapter in the Bible. Sometimes one of the readers says a few words about the text. Prayers are always said at a meditation. Generally, everyone prays loudly together and very rapidly. Prayer plays an important role in the life of Korean Christians. The Lord's Prayer and the Apostles' Creed are prayed at most gatherings. Immediately after the meditation, the ship's anchor is lifted. We navigate to the new island for the day and drop anchor. The dinghy is then lowered from the ship. It takes several minutes traveling in the dinghy until we arrive at the shore or dock of our island. After our arrival, we often go with a cart piled high with medicine to a small community. Here we look for the place where we are to set up our day's work. We make our way to the area where we will arrange our pharmacy. This may be a community hall, a church sanctuary, or another suitable location. Sometimes we convert a classroom into a clinic. Our missionary work is a community activity and not only a function for the Christians in the area. In this schoolroom, parents have prepared lunch for us. Most of the time we eat sitting on the floor with crossed legs. The food is always hot and spicy, so we often perspire. We should blow our noses, but it is impolite to blow your nose at the table. So one either wipes his nose or sniffles. This is more acceptable. Before we begin our work, we introduce ourselves. At times, the patients or church personnel present themselves too. Then we sing and pray in the circle. Actually, prayer is observed everywhere. In the car, before and after driving, when a guest enters someone's house or community church, and often when one eats or drinks something small. Here we are using a small church which has been converted into our working area. About 50 patients come to us this morning. Most of them are exposed daily to the unfriendly weather. As was already explained, the women prepare the algae nets and set them into the sea. These women often suffer from rheumatism, colds, pneumonia, and similar illnesses. Most of the time, before the treatments begin, there is a sermon or a meditation. The length of the message depends on the number of patients to be seen and on the amount of time we have. After the message, each patient registers for his or her doctor's visit at the nurse's station in that room. Here, procedural information is given to the patients, and their personal data is obtained from one of the nurses. Then the nurse measures the blood pressure, in many cases over the patient's clothing, with the patient being in any position and without the patient having rested. Here a urine sample is taken in order to determine the glucose content and thereby determine whether or not a patient may have diabetes. When diabetes or another illness is indicated, further testing is necessary. A blood test is given to determine the seriousness of the illness, as well as the type and the amount of medication to be prescribed for the patient. Disposable needles are used for these blood tests. At this station, the nurse then writes down if the patient is Christian or non-Christian. Koreans practice a variety of religions. About 25% practice Buddhism, and about 23% Reformed Christianity, often Presbyterianism. Small percentages practice Roman Catholicism, Islam, Hinduism, Shintoism, shamanism, and others. Confucianism plays a major role in the life and history of these Koreans. Here one of the staff members is praying for a Buddhist couple that they convert to Christianity. After their medical treatment and this prayer, the patients are requested to attend the next church service in the community. All staff members pray for the patients, and especially when the patients wish prayer. Here a doctor is praying for a patient. After a patient's medical treatment, the Bible is read and explained to him, generally without discussion. Here a staff member is reading the Bible. After this patient has seen the nurse, she goes to the doctor. The doctor examines her, and then he prescribes medicines and procedures such as acupuncture, magnet therapy, or Dum therapy, etc. Tablets and other medicines are prepared for distribution by the medical staff. Here tablets are counted and sorted into weekly sacks. Sometimes it is necessary for large pills to be crushed using a mortar and pestle because children and some other patients cannot swallow large pills. The powder from the crushed tablets are emptied into weekly sacks having 7 compartments. This makes taking the medicine more convenient. Here the nurse hands medicine to a patient with a smile. Staff members are always very pleasant to the patients and, for that matter, to everyone. When prescribed, which is mostly the case, the patient visits the acupuncturist at the next station. With a variety of instruments, the acupuncturist practices many alternative Asian medicines. Every evening, all acupuncture instruments and needles which have been used once are sterilized. Sterilization takes place either in the ship or in the center. The acupuncturist explains the procedure he will use in connection with his therapy. He practices acupuncture on all parts of the body. Acupuncture is a procedure in which various sized needles are positioned into the body for medical treatment. Acupuncture on the back and shoulders reduces pain in these areas. Acupuncture in the buttocks relieves leg pain. Often an acupuncture needle will be applied through the clothes. This has no negative effect provided the patient is not wearing many layers of clothing. Acupuncture on the hand eases pain in many parts of the body. This is also true of foot and ear acupuncture. For example, smoking can be stopped through ear acupuncture. Various types of hand acupuncture are used in treating arthritis and other afflictions of the hands. When acupuncture is practiced on the head, healing of a variety of pains, including migraine headaches, occurs. Acupuncture on the forehead and on the face has positive effects on headaches and facial paralysis. Often acupuncture is executed on the knee. This is good for arthritis and other knee ailments. In order for a knee to heal properly, heat is essential. Therefore, a so-called dum, a kind of punk, is attached to the acupuncture needle and ignited. A dum smokes and produces heat in the needle, transferring the heat into the knee. 2 dums that extinguish themselves in about 10 minutes are used for one treatment. The acupuncture needles remain in the knee 20 to 30 minutes. Scars often appear in the knee area as a result of the heat transmitted from the dums through the acupuncture needles into the knees. This picture shows knee scars that have occurred over a number of years. The acupuncturist explains other alternative Asian medicines and procedures that he practices. One method is bloodletting, a procedure that is an accepted medical treatment by most Koreans. It is a type of suction therapy that sucks blood from the body. In order to prepare the surface area for bloodletting, Blood is sucked to the skin surface with a bloodletting device. According to modern medicine, this procedure is not always fully understood. However, it helps certain patients. After the blood is sucked to the surface of the skin is punctured in about 25 places, either with this tool or with an acupuncture needle. The bloodletting device is again brought into position over the area that has been punctured. It remains in this location between 20 and 30 minutes until the blood is brought to the skin surface through the pin pricks. At this point, the coagulating blood is cleaned from the skin. Bloodletting is also often used on the back to relieve different types of back problems. Another type of Asian medicine uses magnets. These magnets have positive and negative poles. The magnets are taped to the inside of the patient's knees at so-called trigger points. The therapist finds these points by applying pressure to the inside of the knees. The trigger points are where pain is felt. In order for magnet therapy to be effective, magnets are also fastened with tape onto the patient's middle fingers. A total of 6 magnets is required for this type of therapy to be successful. When being given magnet therapy, patients lie for 20 to 30 minutes on their backs. The magnets are then detached from the patients and the treatment is complete. This therapy relieves back and leg pain. This woman was so crippled that she couldn't lie flat on her back. After only one treatment with magnets placed on both knees and middle fingers, you cannot expect the pain and crooked back to disappear. Therefore, many treatments and different methods are practiced on such people. This picture shows the same woman receiving additional magnet therapy only on her fingers to help relieve more of her pain. Dum therapy can be applied to the palm of the hand and to the fingers in order to heal different parts of the body. The dum extinguishes itself after 3 or 4 minutes. The created heat has healing qualities where the heat is transmitted into the body parts. Another therapy requires small pins to be implanted into the fingers. And then the small pins are fastened to the fingers with tape. Sometimes specially prepared tape using 3 small pins affixed in the tape is used on the palm of the hand to intensify healing on a variety of